Three women, one card, no rules. A billionaire wanted truth, not smiles. His girlfriend, his assistant, and his maid. Each got the same card: unlimited money, no limits. What they did with it showed who they really were. One chased fame, one chased power, and one did something that broke his heart forever. He gave them his money to see what they truly valued. But it was what his maid did with it that broke his heart and changed his life forever. A billionaire, tired of fake people and greed, gave three women in his life a card with no limit: his girlfriend, his assistant, and his maid. What they did with it showed more than he ever expected: pride, ambition, and one quiet act of kindness that would lead him to real love and a home he never knew he needed. Welcome to African Tales by Kairo. Please subscribe and leave a like. It means so much to us. Also, share this video with your friends and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss our next story. Thank you for your support. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy today's story. The morning sun shined through the tall glass windows of the penthouse. The marble floors sparkled under golden light. The city below was alive with noise: cars honking, people shouting, dreams chasing. But high above, everything was quiet. Peter Rafford stood near the window, drinking black coffee from a simple white cup. His navy suit was perfect, but his tired eyes told another story. Not tired from work, but from life. The world knew him as a genius, the billionaire who changed smart homes and security. His face was on magazine covers, his name spoken in rich circles. But behind all that fame, Peter felt empty inside. A kind of sadness that money couldn't fix. "Sir, the car is ready," said a soft voice behind him. Peter turned. It was Mirabelle, his maid. She stood quietly near the door, eyes down, wearing her simple gray dress and tidy bun. "Thank you, Mirabelle," he said kindly. She nodded and left without a sound. Peter turned back to the glass. He didn't need to go to work today. His team could handle everything. His assistant, Stella, had already prepared all his meetings. His girlfriend, Lana, had texted him from Dubai. She sent selfies, hearts, and wrote, "Miss you, babe. Can't wait to show you what I bought. 2-7. He didn't reply. He didn't feel missed. He felt like a walking bank. Everyone around him wanted something. Even love felt like a deal. Then came the sound of heels clicking. Stella, his assistant, entered, holding a tablet. "Good morning, Peter. Your briefing is ready," she said quickly. "Not now, Stella," Peter said, walking past her. "Clear my schedule for the week." She blinked. "Everything?" "Yes. Even Lana's dinner. Should I cancel it?" "I don't care," he said. She nodded slowly. "Of course." Peter walked into his study and shut the door. This room felt different, warm and real. The shelves were full of books about life, mind, and a few old novels he loved as a boy. On his desk was a photo of his parents. He picked it up and heard his mother's voice in his head. "Marry a woman who builds, not just one who shines. Gold can shine, but foundations must be strong." He sat down, lost in thought. What was all this worth if no one truly cared? Lana was beautiful. Yes, but she changed with gifts. When he stopped giving, she stopped loving. Stella was smart and strong, but too hungry for success. He once heard her say at a party, "If I play my cards right, I could become Mrs. Rafford." That line had stayed with him for weeks. And then there was Mirabelle. Quiet, kind, and humble. She never asked for anything. Once, when he offered to pay for her mother's surgery, she said softly, "It's not your job, sir. I'll manage." That shocked him. Who says no to free help? He looked at his notepad. 3 names written there: Lana, Stella, Mirabelle. 3 women. 3 truths. He wanted to know who they really were. Without words. Without acting. He picked up his phone. "James," he said to his security chief. "I need a favor." Quietly. "Yes, sir. I'm giving 3 women unlimited credit cards. Track their spending, places, and behavior. Don't tell anyone." "Understood, sir." Peter ended at the call and leaned back. This wasn't a trick. It was the truth. He was done living around fake smiles. He wanted to see who could love him without gold. He looked into the mirror. His reflection looked strong, rich, respected, but lonely. "Not for long," he whispered. That night, Peter sat in his study. The room was quiet, lit only by a brass lamp. A glass of scotch sat on his desk beside 3 black envelopes. Inside each was a limitless card. On them were 3 names: Lana, Stella, Mirabelle. He had planned this for weeks. He didn't want to test them. He wanted to understand them. When people are free, their choices show their heart. He pressed the intercom. "James. Ready?" "Yes, sir. All systems on. Hourly updates. No cameras in private areas." "Good," Peter said, sipping his drink. The city lights glowed below like stars. People out there were making choices. Now, so would the women in his life. The next morning, Peter met Lana at the tower helipad. She stepped out of a black SUV wearing a shiny jumpsuit and heels. Her platinum hair glittered in the sunlight. "Babe," she said, hugging him tightly. "You've been so cold lately." "You've been busy," he said. She pouted. "You didn't even notice my new bag." He glanced at it. White leather, gold locks. "It's nice," he said flatly. He pulled an envelope from his coat. "Here. For you." Her eyes widened. "What's this?" "A gift. No rules. Spend it however you like for 3 days." "You're serious?" "I am," she squealed, kissed his cheek, and laughed. "You're the best. I'll make you proud." "I'm sure you will," he said quietly. She was already calling her friends as she ran off. Peter stood there, watching her car disappear into the city. She didn't even ask why. Later, Stella walked into his office confident, dressed sharp, tablet in hand. "Peter, your schedule's clear. Report's ready." "Good," he said, pulling another envelope from his drawer. "What's this?" she asked. "A gift. Unlimited credit for 3 days." She smiled politely. "That's very generous." "You've earned it," he said. "Thank you, Peter." She left, phone in hand. An hour later, James sent a report. Stella had booked a luxury suite, spa, and wine dinner. She bought designer heels, perfume, and a ticket to an elite rooftop party. Peter sighed. Let's see which room she walks into now. Meanwhile, Mirabelle found her envelope on the kitchen counter with a note. "This is for you, Mirabelle. No strings. You deserve it. P." She stared at it, confused. Then she knocked on his study door. "Come in," Peter said. "Sir, I think this was left by mistake," she said softly. "No mistake. It's yours." Her eyes widened. "Did I do something wrong?" Peter smiled gently. "No. You did everything right. Take a few days. Do something for yourself." "I don't need anything, sir. My needs are met." "I know. But still, take it. Live a little." She hesitated, then nodded. "All right. Thank you." She left quietly, card still unopened. Peter watched the door close. Something about her pause touched him deeply. She didn't see the card as a prize. She saw it as a question. That night, James called. "Updates, sir. Lana spent $32,000 clothes, jewelry, and a yacht rental. Stella booked photo shoots, spa treatments, and dinners. And Mirabelle, she bought groceries, paid 2 months' rent, and gave money to an orphanage. She also bought 4 meals and gave them to homeless men. Peter's chest tightened. She didn't use much? Only 1%. Thank you, James. Peter hung up. The city glowed outside his window, but all he could think about was her kindness, quiet, real, and pure. The next morning, Peter didn't shave or dress up. He sat at the table in a sweater, drinking black coffee, scrolling through the reports. Every line told a story. No words, no lies, just truth. He opened Lana's report first. She started her day at the Gilded Swan, the city's top boutique. Private shopping, champagne service. She arrived in a black Bentley, hair perfect, camera ready. She walked through racks like a queen, pointing at dresses without checking prices. Staff rushed to please her. Her phone buzzed nonstop. She posted stories number treat yourself, number rich life, number blessed. Later she had lunch at La Vie with 4 influencer friends. The bill? Over $2,000. Wine, lobster, desserts. James's final note read, one of her friends insulted a waiter. Lana laughed and Lana filmed everything on her phone. By evening, she went wild. She bought jewelry, 2 fancy bags, and a diamond anklet. Then she rented a big white yacht for tomorrow. She planned a white party on the water. 50 guests were invited. Peter didn't know even one of them. She never texted him. Not to thank him. Not to ask him to come. All day she posted pictures and videos, hashtags, poses, smiles. All for the camera. All for her fans. Peter took a deep breath. He opened the next report. It was about Stella. Her day started early. First, she went to a spa, soft music, long massage. Then she visited a tailor. She bought a new dress and shoes. She wanted to look powerful, not pretty. At 3 in the afternoon, she went to a rooftop club. It was a rich people's place. She looked calm, smart, and beautiful. 3 men waited for her. They were top businessmen. They talked about Peter's company. There was no sound in the video, but Peter understood everything. She smiled. She shook hands. She gave them her card. James's report said she told them, she is Peter Rafford's close advisor. She used his name to look strong. That night, she posted on LinkedIn. Success is about the rooms you enter and who you meet inside. She added the words, number leadership, number strategy, number women in power. Peter closed the laptop. He said nothing. She didn't break any law, but it still hurt him. The last report stayed closed for hours. Peter didn't know why. When he finally opened it, he saw Mirabelle at a small grocery shop. Not a fancy one, just a simple shop near her home. Her cart had rice, beans, oil, and bread. She also bought diapers and baby milk. And a small bunch of flowers. The bill was only $87. The next photo showed her walking home. She carried 2 bags upstairs. Then she went to a hospital nearby. She spoke kindly to the nurse. After some talk, she used the card to pay a bill. James's note said, she paid for a neighbor's cancer treatment. No photo, no post, just quiet kindness. Later, she went to an old orphanage. Peter knew that place. Its walls were cracked and rusty. She carried fruits, books, and art colors. One photo showed her sitting on the floor. 3 kids were around her. One small boy slept in her lap. She gently touched his back. Peter felt his eyes sting. She didn't know she was being watched. She wasn't acting. She was just herself. Her whole day cost less than one of Lana's earrings. That night, Peter stood on the balcony. He looked at the city lights. They sparkled like fake stars. He held a glass of scotch but didn't drink. He thought about the 3 women. Lana, loud, proud, showing off. Stella, smart, sharp, always planning. And Mirabelle, quiet, kind, helping others. He had given them the same test, and now he knew the truth. It was never about money. It was about the heart. The dining room looked perfect. 6 chairs, but only 4 people. A big chandelier glowed above the table. Everything smelled of old wine. Peter sat at the head of the table. He looked calm but tired inside. Lana sat across from him. Her red dress sparkled. Stella sat beside her, in a black suit, proud and still. Mirabelle sat on Peter's right. She wore a simple cream blouse and a long flowered skirt. She looked nervous and out of place. The 5th chair was empty. No one else was coming. The room was silent. Then Lana sighed loudly. "So," she said, playing with her glass, "what's the reason for this dinner?" Peter looked at her. "It's important," he said softly. Stella leaned forward. "Are we celebrating something?" "In a way," Peter said. "We're celebrating truth." Lana smirked. "Sounds serious." "It is," Peter said. He looked at them one by one. 3 days ago, I gave you all a card. No rules. No limits. I said it was a gift, but it was also a test." The room froze. Lana stopped smiling. Stella frowned. Mirabelle looked down. Peter continued. "I wanted to see who you really are. Not what you say. What you do when no one's watching." Lana's tone changed. "What does that mean?" "It means," Peter said slowly, "I watched. I listened. I learned." Stella crossed her arms. "You spied on us?" Peter shook his head. "I just saw your choices." He turned to Lana. "You spent $86,000 in 3 days. You bought shoes in 5 colors. You gave a valet $500 and called him a peasant. You laughed when your friend mocked a waitress." Lana stood up. "That's my life, not yours." Peter's voice was calm. "You made it my business when you showed me who you are." She glared at him. "So what? I had fun. You said spend it." "Yes," Peter said. "And you used it for pride." "You're crazy," she shouted. "No," he said quietly. "I'm just done being blind." She waited for him to stop her. He didn't. So she stormed out. Her heels hit the floor like thunder. Silence filled the room. Stella took a deep breath. Peter looked at her. "You were different," he said. "You didn't waste money. But you used the card for power. You met with my rivals. You told them you were my partner. That's not loyalty." She frowned. "So, wanting success is wrong now?" "No," Peter said. "Lies are wrong. I worked for you for 5 years," she said. "I fixed your problems. I stayed loyal when no one else did." Peter nodded slowly. "I know. And I'm thankful. But loyalty doesn't mean control." She stood up. "I see now," she said coldly. "You've picked your sweet maid. The one with the golden heart." "Stella," Peter began. "Save it," she said. "Good luck." She walked out. The door slammed shut. Peter turned to Mirabelle. She sat quietly. "I'm sorry you had to see that," he said. She spoke softly. "I thought maybe I was being fired." Peter looked. "I'm surprised." "Why would you think that?" "Because," she said, "you never invite me to such things. Then suddenly there's money. And dinner. I thought maybe it was goodbye." He shook his head. "It's not the end. It's the start." She looked unsure. Peter smiled gently. She looked unsure. "I saw what you did with the card. You helped people. You didn't show off. You didn't even think of yourself." She looked down. "I didn't think it was mine," she said. "It felt wrong to spend it." Peter leaned forward. "That's what makes you special. You don't take. You give." She smiled shyly. "I just try to be good. The world doesn't need more good people," he said. "It needs more like you." They sat quietly for a while. Wind moved the trees outside. Mirabelle looked around the empty table. "I don't belong here," she whispered. Peter reached out and took her hand. "Yes," he said softly, "you do." Mirabelle smiled shyly. I wanted to buy something nice, she said. Maybe a pretty dress or shoes. I've never owned anything designer. She looked down for a moment. I imagined walking into a store, picking something beautiful just because I could. Peter watched her quietly. But then, she continued, I passed the grocery store. I remembered my neighbor's daughter. She skips meals so her mom can buy medicine. Then I saw an old man on the street. He held a sign that said, I just want to be warm tonight. Her eyes softened. I couldn't ignore them, she whispered. Not when I could help. You didn't think twice? Peter asked. I did, she said honestly. But I thought, what if the card disappears tomorrow? What would I want to remember? That I bought a dress? Or that I made someone feel they mattered? Peter felt something shift inside him, like a locked door opening. No one has ever said that to me, he whispered. She tilted her head. What do you mean? He walked to the window. I built everything from nothing, he said. Every company, every success. But no one ever told me I mattered. They only cared about what I gave, what I owned, what I could do. He turned back to her. You helped strangers. No cameras. No attention. Just because you could. She smiled softly. That's how my mother raised me, she said. We didn't have much. But she always told me, kindness doesn't need a reason. It just needs a heart willing to give. Peter stepped closer. And you have that heart, Mirabelle. Their eyes met. They stood in silence. The air felt heavy and calm. Then she whispered, Why are you really here, Peter? He took a breath. Because I'm tired, he said. Tired of pretending. Tired of being around people who only see my money. She asked softly, And what do you see when you look at me? He reached out gently, tucking a loose strand behind her ear. I see peace, he said. I see truth. I see someone who doesn't want anything from me, except maybe to be seen back. Mirabelle's eyes filled with tears. I'm afraid, she said quietly. I don't know your world. I don't know how to fit in. Peter smiled. Good, because my world has never felt real. She didn't reply. She didn't have to. In that tiny room, something real began between them. Not love yet, but the first small spark of it. Rain tapped softly on the window. Autumn had come to the city. The trees outside shed golden leaves. Inside, the mansion didn't feel empty anymore. A few weeks later, Mirabelle stood in front of a mirror. The walk-in wardrobe was once Peter's ex's. Now it was hers. Simple and clean. Not rich. Just peaceful. She wore a navy blue blazer. It fit perfectly. Elegant, but not loud. She looked strong, and a little scared of it. Downstairs, Peter was cutting limes. The house was quieter these days. Half the staff had new jobs, shorter hours, better pay. Had learned something. A full house doesn't mean a full heart. Peter? Mirabelle said softly, entering. He looked up. For a moment, he said nothing. He just smiled. You look capable, he said. She raised an eyebrow. That's a compliment? He laughed. From me, it's high praise. She smiled shyly. Are you sure about taking me to the meeting? I'll stand out. Good, he said. Let them see what real looks like. The investor lunch was in an art gallery. Marble floors, paintings on white walls, soft music, and expensive wine. Peter entered with Mirabelle beside him. No bodyguards, no noise. Just two people walking together. People turned to look. Some whispered, some smiled politely. Stella was there too. She saw them and looked away. Peter leaned close and said, Keep your head high. You don't owe them anything. Mirabelle nodded. She spoke little, but when she did, people listened. She talked about helping kids read, about giving food after school. She spoke with truth, not pride. and that made the room go silent. On the way home, Peter said, "You were perfect. I was terrified." She replied, "You didn't show it. I didn't belong there." He held her hand. "You belonged more than anyone." Weeks passed. They found their rhythm. Mirabelle studied business basics. Peter wanted her to grow, not change. "You're already a leader," he said. "I'm just giving you tools." She worked at the shelter again. But this time, she ran it. She hired people. She planned meals. She gave others hope. At night, they ate together. No staff, no fancy food. Just quiet dinners, laughter, and peace. The mansion changed too. The cold rooms felt warm now. Books filled the study. Grocery lists hung on the fridge. The garden had herbs and flowers. Peter often joined her, though he was bad at gardening. One morning, after a storm, Mirabelle found Peter outside. He watched the sunrise. She brought him coffee. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "I used to want to be remembered for building an empire," he said. "Now I just want to be remembered by the one I built it with." She blushed. "I'm not easy to build with," she said. "I get scared." "Good." He smiled. "Fear keeps us humble." "And what keeps us going?" she asked. "Love," he said softly. "But not the kind in magazines. The kind you grow slowly. The kind that stays when no one's watching." She leaned into his touch. For the first time, they stood as equals. No boss and worker, just two hearts choosing each other. Years passed. The mansion was full of life. The cold halls now echoed with laughter. Mirabelle and Peter had a daughter. She was 3, bright-eyed and curious. Every morning, they sat together in the sunroom. Peter wore an old hoodie. Mirabelle hummed softly, bringing toast and fruit. No servants, no noise, just love. Their home was different now. No red carpets, no champagne, just honest mornings and peace. One wing became a learning center. Books, art, and language classes. Another became a safe place for women in need. Mirabelle's idea, of course. "I don't want a palace," she told Peter. "I want a home that shelters others too." He agreed completely. Her heart wasn't made for fame. It was made for giving. She later started a charity, the Rafford Human Dignity Initiative. Housing, education, healthcare. She led it quietly. No interviews, no spotlight. Every Thursday, she still visited the orphanage. The same one from before. Now painted white, with a new playground. The children loved her. They didn't know she once cleaned floors. They only knew she cared. Peter often went with her. Watching her made him proud. He'd found more than love. He'd found purpose. The world noticed, of course. News headlines tried to twist their story. Billionaire and the Maid. Cinderella or gold digger. But when no scandal came, they moved on. The truth was simple. Their story was real. One evening, they sat outside under the stars. A blanket around them. Tea in their hands. The world quiet. Peter asked, "Do you ever think about the past?" She smiled. "Sometimes. I remember polishing this porch. Afraid of missing a spot. Afraid of you." He chuckled. "What did you think of me then?" "I thought you were unreachable," she said. "Not because of money, but because you looked lonely." He looked at her softly. "And now? Now I know no one is unreachable. They just need someone who doesn't come with a price." He kissed her forehead. "You gave me a home, Mirabelle. A place to belong." She held his hand. "And you gave me something I never thought I could have a life with, purpose and love." He smiled. "You deserve both." Years passed. Their daughter grew. Every night, Mirabelle told her a story about a man who gave everything to find what mattered, and a woman who had nothing but gave everything she had. And when their daughter asked, "Mom, is that story true?" Mirabelle smiled. Yes, my love, she whispered. It's the truest story I've ever lived. Outside the room, Peter listened quietly, tears in his eyes. He finally understood. His greatest empire wasn't built with money. It was built with love.